sense, as for instance the stimuli of the sense of smell, is still inaccessible to us. The number of the properties of matter depends on the number and on the keenness of the senses. Whoever lacks a sense loses a group of properties without a chance of regaining them. A person who would have an extra sense would have an organ to grasp qualities of which we have no other inkling than the blind man has of color. Close quote. If one glances over the physiological literature from the second half of the 19th century, one sees that this view of the subjective nature of the world picture of our perceptions has gained increasing acceptance. Time and again one comes across variations of the thought that is expressed by J. Rosenthal in his title General Physiology of Muscles and Nerves, 1877. Quote, "The sensations that we receive through external impressions are not dependent on the nature of these impressions, but on the nature of our nerve cells. We have no sensation of what exerts its effect on our body, but only of the processes in our brain." Close quote. To what extent our subjective world picture can be said to give us an indication of the objective external world is expressed by Helmholtz in his title Physiological Optics. Quote, "To ask the question if cinnabar is really red as we see it, or if this is only a sense deception, is meaningless. A red blind person will see cinnabar as black, or in a dark yellow-gray shade. This is also a correct reaction for the special nature of his eye. He must only know that his eye happens to be different from that of other people. In itself, one sensation is neither more nor less correct or incorrect than the other, even if the people who see the red have the great majority on their side. The red color of cinnabar exists only in so far as the majority of men have eyes that are of a similar nature. One can say with exactly the same right that it is a quality of cinnabar to be black for red blind people. It is a different question, however, if we maintain that the wavelength of light that is reflected by cinnabar has a certain length. This statement, which we can make without reference to the special nature of our eye, is only concerned with the relations of the substance and the various systems of ether waves." Close quote. It is apparent that for such a conception, all phenomena of the world are divided into two completely separated parts, into a world of motions that is independent of the special nature of our faculty of perception, and a world of subjective states that are there only within the perceiving subjects. This view has been expressed sharply and pointedly by the physiologist Dubois-Reymond, 1818 to 1896, in his lecture titled On the Limits of Natural Science, which he gave at the 45th Assembly of German Naturalists and Physicians on August 14, 1872 in Leipzig. Natural science is the reduction of processes we perceive in the world to motions of the smallest physical particles of a, quote, dissolution of natural processes into mechanics of atoms, close quote. For it is a, quote, psychological fact of experience that wherever such a dissolution is successful, quote, unquote, our need for explanation is for the time being satisfied. Moreover, it is a known fact that our nervous system and our brain are of a material nature. The processes that take place within them can also be only processes of motion. When sound or light waves are transmitted to my sense organs and from there to my brain, they can here also be nothing but motions. I can only say that in my brain a certain process of motion goes on, and I have simultaneously the sensation red. For it is meaningless to say of cinnabar that it is red. If it is meaningless to say of cinnabar that it is red, it is not less meaningless to say of a motion of the brain particles that it is bright or dark, green or red. Quote, mute and dark in itself that is to say without qualities, close quote, such is the world according to the view that has been obtained through the natural scientific conception which, quote, knows, instead of sound and light, only vibrations of a property-free fundamental matter that now can be weighed and then again is imponderable. The Mosaic word, quote, and there was light, close quote, is physiologically incorrect. Light came into being only when the first red eye spot of the infusoria differentiated for the first time between light and darkness. Without the substance of the optic and auditory sense, this world, glowing in colors and resounding around us, would be dark and silent. Parenthesis, limits of natural science, close parenthesis, close quote. Through the processes in the substance of our optic and auditory senses, a resounding and colorful world is, according to this view, magically called into existence. The dark and silent world is physical. The sounding and colorful one is psychic. Whereby does the latter arise out of the former? How does motion change into sensation? This is where we meet, according to Du Bois-Reymond, one of the, quote, limits of natural science.